Awesome.
Okay, so welcome everybody to today's presentation. Just a couple of housekeeping things before we start. If you could just put yourselves on mute as the presentation is going on, then feel free to unmute yourself to ask any questions that you have for Sandy, or if you feel more comfortable and want to use the text chat, you can do that and I'll watch for any questions and let Sandy know. So without further ado, I just want to welcome our guest speaker, Sandi Boucher, today, coming in and talking about 12 years of business already, and 12 ideas or 12 lessons learned, right, for 12 years in business. So I'm just going to do a bio and then I'll hand it over to Sandi. So Sandi Boucher creates a safe space for Indigenous perspective, strong and powerful women, healing and growth, dumb questions and difficult conversations, reconciliation and empowerment, and self-determination for the men and women she serves. An Ojibwe woman who knows full well the devastation of colonialism, alcoholism, and domestic violence. It is her wisdom, her experience, and her metaphors that have made Sandi Boucher an internationally recognized and much loved speaker. A proud member of Seine River First Nation, Sandi began speaking her career in 2009. Now, more than a decade later, Sandi continues to use conversational English, stories, humor, metaphors, and personal examples to empower men and women of all cultural backgrounds. Welcome, Sandi.
Thank you so much. Who thought we would see this day, Lori? 12 years later, I remember walking into Pero like it was yesterday. And I remember the panic of launching the business. And honestly, am I going to starve to death was the question we kept asking ourselves. What if this fails? And here I am 12 years later. So thanks so much to everyone for coming out today. I do have a PowerPoint I'm going to run through, and emphasis on run through. We don't have a lot of time today, but I did want to share a little bit about my journey. And then I'm going to share 12 lessons with you. And honestly, I know what's going to happen. You're going to hear them and you're going to say, well, yeah, that's not important to me, or I'll worry about that later. And I did the exact same thing. And if I could go back, these are the 12 I wish I had listened to from day one. It would have made the journey so much easier. So on that note, I'm going to share my screen. Excuse any insanity you might see for the first few minutes. Just ignore all of this. Play from start. User slide. Blackout that freaks everyone out. Are we good now? Can you see the slide?
Somebody we can, for sure.
Nod.
Yep.
Awesome.
Looks good.
Reassure me. So beyond your wildest dreams is what I call this little sharing. One Quay's story. Quay is short form for Anishinaabe Quay, which just means an Ojibwe female. So let's jump right into this. I want you to imagine for a moment, whatever kind of dream you've got going on right now of big business success, I want you to imagine actually achieving that. And then you'll know why I look so happy and enthusiastic, because that's exactly what happened for me. As mentioned in the opening, I create safe space as a hashtag that sums up all of the work. And Lori shared this with you. Basically, my name is Sandi Boucher, Mishko Paganon Quain Adishnakas Mungdodam. I'm a proud member of Seine River First Nation. I work full-time as an inspirational speaker. I'm a best-selling author, an Indigenous activist and actionist. You can see me on Shaw Community TV if you're so inclined. And when I'm not working, I'm a mom of two amazing grown children in their 30s, as we were just discussing, and two amazing grandchildren. But look at this slide. I never dreamt of being an inspirational speaker. This is not the dream I was having as a young woman playing in the front yard. It actually took a conversation. After I was like 20 years into my other career, I was having a conversation with a girlfriend, helping her through a challenge. And her response at the end of our conversation was, you know what, Sandi, you should really do this as for a living. You are really good at helping me to believe in myself, and you should really do that for other people. So that conversation got me started on living this crazy dream. That picture was taken at a Paro event, by the way, just going to put that out there. That's how happy I was back in the day. This dream that maybe I could do this, maybe I could have my own business, be an inspirational speaker, make the money that I was used to making in my very well-paying job, but have the freedom to live my life my way. The dream led to a vision. My vision was that if I empower one woman, she will in turn empower her children, her partner, and her friends. One empowered woman becomes an empowered family. Enough empowered families, you have an empowered community. Enough empowered communities, you have an empowered region. Enough regions, you have an empowered nation. And it all happens one woman at a time. And that is the vision that has carried me for the last 12 years. And after one event is done, it gets me focused on the next. But I needed to pay a visit to Paro first, because I joke, if anyone has ever heard one of my speeches, I talk about that one-page business plan that I walked into Paro with. Positive, I knew exactly what I was doing. And in the kindest, most supportive way, that kind of hinted that maybe I needed to put a little more information into my business plan if I was truly going to be successful. I launched my business in September of 2009. After going all through the training of Paro, I literally would not be here without that support. It started with one seminar, which is now morphed into well over 50 seminars. At the time I walked into Paro, I had the manuscript of my first book. I now have 3 books out there. 2 have reached bestseller status. The 3rd is well on the way. And my 4th book is about to be released this summer. So the train just keeps on going. And I have been successful. If you look at this, 2010 was my first full year in business, and I made just under $40,000. I honestly believe that was because I didn't have a choice. I was a single woman. There was no one going to cover my rent and my car payments if I wasn't successful. So I had to hustle. But what I want to point out is look at the number for 2019. The very first time I broke the $100,000 mark. And then we went into 2020. I don't need to tell you what happened in 2020, but for me, the change or hitting the wall actually happened a little bit sooner. You see, in January of 2020, I had just completed this amazing year. I had brought in over $100,000 in events and sales. And I didn't feel like someone who was living a life where I was earning that kind of money. Honestly, I was still hustling to pay my bills. I was still stressed all the time. Something was wrong. So if there's one thing business has taught me is when you don't have the answer to a question, ask somebody. Don't just sit in that fear, get the help. So I went to Grant Thornton, who happens to be my accountants and have been for years. They looked over my financial situation, and what they pointed out to me was the fact that I actually was carrying these really old debts that had happened before I went into business, and they were draining me with incredibly high interest rates. So as sometimes happens when you're working with accountants, they made a recommendation. And what I was told was that I had to stop the bleeding, that I was making incredible money, but until I got on top of these old issues, it wasn't going to change. I wasn't going to be able to dig myself out, which led to the word that no one in business wants to say. That word. And it's true, and it happened. And instantly the bills were gone, but I still have income. I can be making income. And then, by the way, March came and I got hit by the pandemic. And when I say I got hit, I want to be very crystal clear on this. Within 48 hours, 24 hours, I should say, $48,000 in bookings disappeared from my budget. When the pandemic hit, I was making 100% of my income on live events, traveling to communities, speaking at events, And that's what I had on the books as events coming up, and they were gone. I can honestly say I spent 3 days in bed, kind of head under the covers. I don't know what to do. This is horrible. I am now going to starve to death like I feared back in 2009. But as always, entrepreneurs, women, we find a way. And eventually I started thinking about the situation, and I realized the bankruptcy had taken my debt away. So I didn't have people calling me. The pandemic had taken my income away, which was kind of scary, but nothing had taken my skills away. Nothing took away my experience or my wisdom. And I make a living teaching women how to get back up after a fall. The voice in my head was saying, honey, it's time to practice what you preach. You know how to do this. You've been knocked down before. You started from zero before. You can do this again. So back in 2009, when I was starting my company for the very first time, I shot and released a YouTube video every single day. And I'm going to be honest here, I didn't have a following. No one was watching these videos, right? At all. Zero, nada. But you know what? Every single time I turned on the camera, I was talking to this woman in my mind, the woman who was going to one day watch my videos. And she was scared. And she didn't believe in herself. And I wanted her to know that she wasn't alone, that she could do it, and that I believed in her. So every single day I got online and I shot that video. Well, in March of last year, I went back to the old recipe. I shot YouTube videos every single day. I created a podcast just so I could have someone to talk to. It was kind of lonely during that first lockdown. And I began creating video courses available online. I took those live events that I used to do and turned them into video courses. And I now have 3 that you can access on my website. I did Zoom seminars. I realized that if I could do a seminar live, I could do it on Zoom with amazing results. My groups and customers and participants seemed really happy. I started doing national events and provincial events, because guess what? If you're doing it on Zoom, you can invite absolutely everyone. If you have to pay for traffic to come in and people to come in and all the travel costs, not so much. So suddenly my reach just exploded across the country. By May last month, my online revenue surpassed my live revenue for the very first time. I made more from purchases on my website while I was eating a sandwich than I did being live on Zoom. And guess what? I am going to beat $100,000 this year. I'm back, right? So that's my journey. And I have learned so much in 12 years. And as it said on the poster, mostly the hard way. So what I wanted to share with you was the 12 lessons I've learned. I have a handout I'm going to send to you. I can give it to you in chat so you can have this list. So don't worry, you don't need to panic and race it down. You're going to have this checklist to use, and check off the ones you've already mastered, because I know you have. And if you have questions about the ones you don't, happy to answer them. If we don't have time today, send me an email. Happy to help you out. That's what Pero women do. The first one. Okay, seriously, and I know you've heard this said, it took me 12 years to figure this out. Cash flow is king. You need to stay on top of your cash flow. If you want the stress to go away, then as all the financial advisors say, start paying yourself from day one, period. Every single time I have money coming in, a good chunk of it, usually between 10 and 20%, go into a bank account that I do not touch. Guess what? So that when an event cancels or reschedules and I'm suddenly short of cash, I have that bank account to cover my expenses. I am never broke because I make sure I have that to cover cash flow. I became my own bank. Instead of calling my friends to, can you cover me for a couple of days because I have this bill? I now do it for myself. Was there a question, Lori? I see something in chat.
No, you know what? Sorry, I just dropped your email into the chat.
Oh, awesome. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Next one, diversify your revenue streams, which sounds like a really snotty way of saying it. What it means is the more sources that you have of money coming in, the more successful, the easier it is for you to be successful. So if you sell cupcakes, I'm going to use that as I don't know anyone who does that, but I'm going to use that as an example. If you sell cupcakes and you only sell cupcakes and suddenly cupcakes aren't popular, you're going to be in trouble. But if you sell cupcakes and you also go on YouTube and talk about making cupcakes and you do classes on teaching how to make cupcakes, you now have 3 different revenue streams. And even if you're not selling cupcakes, there's still people out there that want to learn how to make them. That's what I'm talking about, diversifying your revenue. Holy moly, is that, I just spotted someone in the audience. Hi! Friends have shown up to hear this. Number 3, and this one probably took me about 10 years to learn, your business is business. Learn how to do it. What I mean by that is learn how to run a successful business. Learn marketing, learn social media, learn how to run a business, not just what you do. For me, it would be public speaking. I had to do way more than learn how to be a public speaker. I had to learn how to run a successful business, how to have staff, when to delegate, when not to delegate, how to keep your expenses low. Learn how to be in business. Number 4, always make time to learn. I set aside an hour now every single day. And of course, I understand I'm a single woman. I don't have kids running around here, so my time is mine. But I take an hour every single day to listen to a podcast or to read something or to learn every single day. Because the more I learn, the more I can offer to my customers. The better I get, the better service they get. I take my business seriously. I want to be successful, and that means learning. I could not be achieving what I'm achieving today if I still only had the knowledge of 12 years ago. I have read so many books since then, done the training sessions, learned how to do an online course by taking a 12-month training session. Take the time to learn. You're worth it. Your business is worth it. Number 5, know what you want and need. And I am the biggest fan of targets. If you have a Facebook group and there's 5 people joined your Facebook group for this month, and you should know how many people joined your group this month, then set a target for 7 people next month. If you only posted 4 times, try posting 5 times if you think that's going to get you more people. I have targets set for everything from social media to income to even my health and making sure that I exercise and eat properly. And I check how I'm doing against my targets every single Friday. I don't wait until the train goes off the tracks. I make sure I'm staying on track. Number 6, this one was so huge for me because guess what, guys? As an entrepreneur, we're alone. If we're totally not doing well this month, we really don't have to admit that to anyone. Unless you're married, then you might have to tell your hubby that he's going to cover the mortgage, but otherwise it's a secret. What I started doing was every Friday when I went and looked at my stats and how I was doing, at the bottom of that spreadsheet, I had to put in the reason why I was succeeding or why I wasn't, in the same way that I used to report to my bosses when I had completed something or couldn't complete someone. I'm the investor in my company, and it's a really good learning tool because if I can identify why something isn't working, I can change it and fix it. It's just a little paragraph that I write to myself that I'm accountable. I had to be accountable to someone. It was only me. So I'm now accountable to me. 7, invest in you and your company. You're worth it. And you know what? You might not be able to in the beginning, but as you're setting that money aside, I am talking to you, and I'm not kidding here, on a $10,000 Mac computer that I bought last year. Why? because I knew my company was about to go online. I needed to be able to quality videos and Zoom seminars, so it was worth the investment. And I cut the time that it takes to master a video in half. It was so worth the investment. So whether it's staff, whether it's outside help, I work with the most amazing graphic designer I have for years. I can't draw a stick man if my life depended on it, but she makes every single one of my posters, and she's another entrepreneur. Win-win scenario. Number 8, you got to get on top of social media. And I can hear the groans. I know someone in here is going, I hate social media. It's so negative, whatever. I'm not telling you to hang out on Facebook. I'm telling you to create a business page, go in there and post about your business every week so we can reach people, or every day, and then get back out of there. Don't stay there and absorb that garbage. Use it as a business tool. I have ads running on Facebook constantly. They're dirt cheap for the amount of people you can reach. You can target by postal code. I can do just Thunder Bay, all of Canada, or other countries if I want to. It's easy peasy, and it helps. It drives my business and always has. I now have over 11,000 followers on my business page and a reach of about 70,000 for every one of my posts. And I did that one person at a time, one post at a time. It's worth it. It's not about whether you like social media or not. It's a great tool. And by the way, if you're in the how-to business, if you're teaching someone something, people go to YouTube to get answers to questions. They go to YouTube and type in, how do I do this? Because they want to see a video. So if you're teaching something, you need to be doing videos on YouTube. Just saying. Was there a question, Lori? No?
Yeah, there's a question. How do you get people to follow you on social media?
Give them value. Easy peasy. 100%. One, so don't just say hi. You can be sharing articles that are related to your business. You can be going in there. By the way, they're going to follow you for your personality. So be you. You don't need to be me. You don't need to be like anyone else. You need to be authentic. So be you. Show that you care. Give them valuable content that's actually going to help them with whatever thing you're talking about. And if we're talking Facebook, you got to do Facebook ads. 100%. You could spend $20 and reach, I think it's like 200 people a day if you spend $20 for the month. I mean, it's dirt cheap and it's so effective. And then once they do follow you, you don't need to use the paid ad anymore. That's getting you new people. I would suggest keep using the ads so you keep getting new people, but just keep posting content. I post on my page every single day, and that's a high bar. Most people post weekly. I've always posted every single day, but that's why I have the following I do. And that's not the only thing I post. So number 9, and this is where this comes in, automate whatever you can. And this is where I made my big mistake for so many years. And honestly, I'm one of those people that are kind of thankful for the break, not for the pandemic, but the break that the pandemic gave us, because my family was actually concerned about me. I was working so hard and traveling so much, they were actually scared for my health. And that's because my entire income was Sandi dependent. As I used to describe it, if I wasn't in the room, I wasn't making money. That's a dangerous business model. You can't scale that because there's only 24 hours in the day. You will never get more hours. But guess what? By putting my courses online, I could get an email right now that someone bought a book or someone bought a video course while I'm doing this. I have woke up to emails that I had $2,000 in sales while I was sleeping. That is the only way to scale your business. And if you don't want to exhaust yourself, figure out how to do this earlier than I did. Trust me. Network, 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 network. Now I'm a apparel woman, right? Network, 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 network. But guess what? You can network online. I now belong to the most amazing network of women professionals, and it's an international group. One of my best friends lives in Phoenix, Arizona. We've never been in the same room, yet I can contact her for business advice on a regular basis, and she contacts me. I have friends in Australia. I have friends in England, all because of that network. And guess what? They share my posts. They support my work. You want to grow your reach? Look at the statement at the bottom. Their reach becomes your reach. Because no matter how good you are at doing your business, your reach is only going to be limited to your sphere of people. But if you network, then it goes into their sphere and the next and the next. As long as it's relevant information, they're going to share it. Was there another question, Lori?
Yeah, Komal's asking, how can I think she's meaning, how can she network? Like, what are different ways, I guess, now, just until things get back a little bit?
Do you mind if I ask what type of business you have or she has?
Komal, books. She sells books.
Okay, so for one, you picked an industry where for each sale, the profit margin is really super small. I sell books, but they're just icing on the cake to what I make during a seminar. If I tried to earn a living just selling books, I would have failed a long time ago, because printing costs compared to what you sell it for, you make $2, $5, $10 off every book. You got to sell a lot of books to make an income just doing that. So one, I would consider doing something else as well. You can do YouTube videos without ever showing your face, by the way. You just have the text and the pictures up there and they hear you talking in the background. So I would consider doing something related to your book. As far as networking is concerned, get on LinkedIn. That's where all the business people hang out. Create your profile and search for other women in business. There's tons of business networks on there. Join them. You don't even have to say anything. Follow the articles, comment on an article, and people are going to start seeing your name and they're going to want to join your LinkedIn network. Same thing on Facebook. There's many, many women's social groups. Not all of them are positive places to be. I'm going to give you a heads up on there. But to find a positive one, I'm in Sparkle and Rise. It's called Sparkle and Rise Women's Network. And I highly recommend it. If you can't find it, just tell me, I'll send you the link. We welcome women from all over the world every single month. And it's an amazing group. So that's the two key ways I would network online. I've gone as far as building an email list as well. So I actually email out to my list once a week, and you can do that as part of your business as well. I have two more to do. Are there more questions though, Lori?
Kumail just said, okay, just to write the name here. We're just going to put the Sparkle. What did you say it was? Sparkle and
Rise.
Okay.
So
yeah.
we all rise together, right? Okay. Number 11, build relationships. Don't make sales. 100%. And I'm going to give you the perfect example that just happened to me yesterday. A woman that I've worked with a couple of times in the past. The first time, I think I did a half an hour workshop for her. The second time, I think it was a half day. But really, I asked her the questions. I cared to make sure, what did her audience need? We had a really great relationship. It wasn't that I didn't hear from her very often. She reached out to me yesterday. She has a project. They need to create a video course. Duh. She thought of me, and are you ready for this? $45,000 for that contract. Why? Because we built a relationship. So it's not just about selling the cupcake. It's about saying hi to that person that comes in. How are you doing today? Oh, what's your favorite kind of cupcake? And getting to know them. So the next time they come in, you know what their favorite cupcake is. Guess what? When you do that, they tell your friends about your business, not because it's a great business, but because you're a great person that they have a relationship with. It's all about relationships, and they pay off when you least expect it. And on top of that, they make the journey amazing. You don't just want to be cold sales, build relationships. And the last one, dream way bigger than whatever you're dreaming now. The Peril women know this. When I first started out, when I had my first book, are you ready for this? I wanted to sell 4 copies. 4. I thought if I could share, I could help 4 women. It was worth the 2 years it took me to write that book. I have learned to set higher goals, but even the people I meet now, they want to have, you know, they want to bring in maybe $2,000 a month would be really great. They want to sell in Thunder Bay. It's like, wow, except if you sold provincially, it would be way easy to bring in $4,000 a month. If you sold nationally or internationally, you could be up in the $100,000 level. So don't limit how big you can get. Because, and I know that sounds scary, and no, small is controllable, but you know what? Once you get bigger, you don't worry about the bills anymore. And I would rather spend my time worrying about, you know, I never worry, getting excited about the next event than worrying about how I'm going to pay the mortgage. It's a choice. And we literally can be way more successful than we think we can be. That it's all puzzle pieces, as my mom would say. If you don't know the answer to your question, go get more puzzle pieces. If you can't see what your future looks like yet, you need more puzzle pieces. Then the picture will become clear. And that brings me to the end. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the share so I can see all your beautiful faces again. And then I'm going to go into chat before I forget, because I want to send you the file. That checklist. I promised you a checklist. I should probably give that to you.
I also dropped the link for the Sparkle and Rise community that you were talking about in there.
Awesome. It is so, so worth doing it. Oh, what in the world did they call? I got my graphic designer to do it for me, and I have no idea what she, oh, I know where it is. Silly. Go ahead and ask your questions while I'm doing this.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, or if you want to put it in the chat, either one works.
Okay, so hopefully you see a PDF in chat now.
Yep, it's there.
Margarita and Angie. Ah! Angie, it was your face I saw, and I was like, wait a minute. And now I see Margarita. Awesome.
Hi there. I was wondering if you recognize me with all the big hair put back, but you do. It's good to see you.
All. Thanks. So does anyone else have any questions?
I actually do have a question that I just realized from somebody else that I know that has she has an energy healing business in Alberta. She is mentioning something that I really resonate with is like at the end of the month when, you know, rent for my new office is coming due and I'm just starting, I'm just building up. I don't have all my clients yet, right? I do have people coming, but it's just trickling in at this point. It's so new. How do you get past that fear and anxiety that just kind of, you know, she mentioned this, how near the end of the month, she started to feel waves of anxiety. And then it kind of makes me stop in my tracks and then I can't push forward. You know what I mean? So I want to, I'm sure you understand.
Totally understand that. Honestly, in the first year of my business, what I kept hearing in my head was, you're going to end up living in your car. And I kept thinking over and over. And then, of course, my personality, you know, my personality, I immediately went to, but I could write a book about living in my car and it could be a bestseller, right? Such an entrepreneur. But here's the trick that I use to get past it. And I know exactly what she's talking about. It used to freeze me that I couldn't do anything except feel this fear until I realized if I had enough time to be afraid, I wasn't working hard enough. So every single time that fear would come in, I'd recognize it and I'd send one more email or do one more Facebook post or reach out to one more person. I would turn it into action. And as soon as I felt like I was doing something, I didn't feel helpless anymore, because that's what it was. I felt helpless that I couldn't create my own success. And because I did it that way, those wheels turn every time you post or reach out to someone, right? So it just keeps building. So the other
That's
thing
good. Thank you.
the other thing she might want to do, always think outside the box. If you have a physical space that is not earning money for you all the time, consider sharing it. Maybe someone needs your space on Monday nights and they'd be willing to pay you rent for it. Like sublet it, long as it doesn't go against how you would use the space, then you have extra. It's another revenue stream, like I said in one of the steps, right? So. Next question.
I've also put Sandy's email in the chat too. So if you do think of any questions later on, feel free to reach out to Sandy as well.
Anytime.
Mhm.
Para women, that's what we do. So yeah.
Yeah, if there's no other questions, then I just want to say thank you so much, Sandy. I can't believe that, well, almost 12 years now has gone by, and that's great that to see and then to hear these stories of where people started from and where they are now and all the journey in between. So I appreciate you coming in and sharing what you've learned over the last 12 years.
The one thing I really want to stress is know what you need. And I've done a workshop at Paro about this before. You need to sit down and figure out how much money do you need to be bringing in each month, right? And if you do have a partner helping you with expenses, sit down and talk with him or her and ask them, like, well, how much do you expect me to be covering? I know you want to support me, but what would you like it if I could cover the utilities and you cover the mortgage, or vice versa? Then you have, because guess what? If you don't have a target, it's way too easy to become complacent and just be happy with whatever comes in, right? And you should be grateful for whatever comes in, but you shouldn't be not achieving either, right? So set those targets. I needed, like for the longest time, I needed like $5,000 a month. That would cover all my expenses and allow me to go out with my girlfriends and not have to worry about the expenses. And it was probably a year after it happened that I finally realized I never worry about that anymore, because the money is just in the bank. I don't need to worry about, is it there? I put it in long before the bill came in. So that's what I would love for every single one of you. Don't just make enough that you never worry about how much you're making anymore. That's the freedom women deserve. So you can actually just enjoy your life rather than, how am I going to pay the bills? I know that weight, right? And it sucks. It drains our energy. It drains our joy. It's exhausting. We deserve better than that.
It is exhausting. It's hard because it's, then I think, oh, am I really meant to do this after all, right?
I'm glad you said that. I honestly believe if you had the idea to do something, you were meant to do it. Now I'm a Ojibwe, obviously, so creator comes into play here, but you wouldn't have had that idea if you weren't meant to be on that path. But as it said on my poster for this event, business will be the biggest test of your self-confidence. You're going to be have to be able to say to yourself, okay, that sucked. That day, losing that sale, not making any money, that hardcore sucked. But that doesn't mean I don't need to do this, and I can learn from it and I can keep going.
Yeah.
Right? Celebrate the effort, not the results. Make sure you keep working. The other thing I do is keep a timesheet. How many hours are you putting into your business? I committed ages ago that if I was going to give some, excuse the expression, if I was going to give some guy 35 hours a week to be working for his business, my business was worth at least that. Don't sell your business short. So.
Thank you.
You can do it, guys. If I can sit here and back to Lori's comment, like this is surreal. I remember sitting in the green room in Pero going, I'm going to starve to death, right? And to be able to do this event 12 years later and know I'm never going to do anything else, I would get fired so fast if I tried to work for someone else. It would not go well, right? But now I hire people, right? It's a way better place to be. And you deserve it, guys. Reach out anytime you need advice.
Well, thank you so much, Sandy. We really appreciate you taking this time, and wish you another 12 years on top of this and more.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Oh, yeah. Just wait, guys. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm just on a roll now. Okay. Take care. Enjoy your day, guys.
Thanks, everybody,
Bye-bye.
for joining us. Thanks, Sandy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.